Well, here we are together again. Yeah, so lovely to have you and to be with you all. I'd like to formally invite all of you to please sign up for the winter retreat. Monday, December 26th through Wednesday, the 28th. It's going to be lovely to have you join us. You know, it's funny whenever I speak about these retreats, it could come off like an advertisement, but a retreat, it's just such a wonderful gift to give yourself. And it's a gift that I've received countless times. When I first went on retreat with my teacher, I immediately discovered the power of being in his presence, the gift of his transmission. And it was something that altered the course of my life. When I first meditated, like that was something great, and I knew like there was something big and profound here. But I first started meditating when I was just a kid, and I did it alone. I didn't really have any instruction. And when I met my teacher, and he began to teach me meditation and how to open myself to God, it was such a profound gift. But I felt like there was still a part of me that could have kind of just run off and with my own desires and confusion. But after spending the first retreat with him, there was something within me that just became incredibly anchored on the path. And it's like I stabilized and I just woke up and realized, oh, yes, this is what the totality of my life is about. The trajectory of my life is about this movement of opening to higher realms of consciousness and divinity, to connecting intimately with God, with grace, with truth, with my own true self. And there's this power that really takes over one's experience on retreat. And I can remember that it's like the first time I was on retreat, this very, it's a very funny thing for me to say, which is this incredibly powerful feeling of God having me by the neck, just like by the throat. It's like there was no escaping, for the human character Craig. I was in the stream of divinity and there was no getting out. And of course, that is a great, great thing. It helps one to orient oneself, like, what the heck is my life really about? What is my life really about? But when you step on retreat and you feel the call of retreat and you actually show up to it, and it becomes radically clear that we are here to awaken. That we are here to open into greater realms of divinity and consciousness. It's like everything else becomes, I don't want to say totally irrelevant, but a lot less relevant. Our life begins to take on this power, this focus, this meaning, this drive. Something really can wake up inside. So I do hope you can sign up for the retreat, and please don't wait till the last moment. It makes things a little difficult for me if you sign up at the last moment. And so for the next little bit, I'd like to speak about our relationship with our body. I'm going to start us all off like in a very gross way, like gross as opposed to subtle, not gross like disgusting, but gross as opposed to subtle. And in a fun way, I want you to forget that word gross that I just said. And I want you all to close your eyes. I'm going to say something that will be border on the edge of inappropriate, but I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to feel into your human body. Your human body. And I want you to picture yourself standing before a mirror. And here's where it's going to get inappropriate. So you can just smile a little bit and breathe. So picture yourself before a mirror, naked. So just standing there, looking at yourself in the mirror. And I want you to reflect upon what you see. So when you see your human body, and by naked, again, I'm going to start on the surface here, and I mean naked literally, not naked like an open heart. But when you see your human body, I want you to very clearly reflect upon what your response is. With an open heart, do you see the beauty of your skin, the beauty of this human form, the miracle of human life and the human body? Or do you have some type of cultural thoughts? Like, I'm not an 18-year-old supermodel, who looks whatever the definition of beauty or perfection is. A twiggy little supermodel body that looks like a Barbie doll, or, I look like 18-year-old Brad Pitt. So I want you to forget all that, or see if you can forget all that, or at least acknowledge if that is there. And we'll play this game again. Can you look and see your humanity, your human form, as beautiful, as radiant, as glowing, with this very subtle light? This very subtle light. And so if you look at your body, you see yourself in a judgmental way. Again, I'll play with words here. Too fat, too big, too little, too this, too that. And you fail the test here. If you look at your body and you smile and you see your beauty, it's going to help you to step more easily into the subtle realms. So I'm going to invite you all to join me in the seeing of one's human body, human form, as beautiful, as divine, as holy. If there's harshness there, you can smile a little bit, soften, open, trust, and forgive, your cultural upbringing, or forgive the inner critic. And I want you to see if you can soften around that critic. And as you soften, you look again at your body, perhaps deeper and subtler. Again, it's going to be through the doorway of love and inclusion And through the recognition of your innate goodness, you can connect with your subtle energetic body. And so as we open to the subtle energetic body, I want you just to bring awareness to the bottoms of your feet, to the calves and the shins, to your knees, your thighs, and your pelvis. Feeling into your hara and your lower belly. And just acknowledging the body temple. Acknowledging that the body temple is good. Is good. So I'm going to invite you to breathe a little more deeply and fully to the pelvis, the pelvic floor. I'm going to invite you to relax your psoas muscles. That's a muscle that goes basically from like your lower core on the front side. It wraps around like through your legs and up, attaches around the back to your sacrum there. So if you can just relax the psoas muscles more fully. This whole like pelvic bowl relaxing. More and more as we relax these muscles, they often hold lots and lots of tension here. You may notice this gift as you relax your human muscles, especially your hips and your pelvis. You may notice the whole subtle energetic body coming more fully online, lighting up with radiance, with prana. You may notice the solar plexus lighting up, the heart lighting up, the throat, the third eye, the crown. Simply through first seeing the beauty of your body, then beginning to relax the muscles of the lower half of the body, especially the pelvis, the pelvic floor. Noticing the spine coming fully alive. For some of you, there may be pain throughout the body. There may be tension. Just softening that. Just continuing to breathe deeply in the belly and resting awareness in the belly. Just again noticing pelvis, the pelvic floor, the psoas muscles. Is there any tension here? Is there any gripping? Is there any holding? And I let go and surrender. And for the kundalini people in the room, just noticing how happy the kundalini becomes, how happy the energy body is. The more fully you relax, In fact, many of you are finding like this very subtle tube of light going right through the center of the spine, going all the way up from the root to the center of the third eye, out the top of, right through the center of the crown, out the top of that. And I'm going to invite you all just to join me in being amazed. Like, wow, look at this beautiful thing that I am. As I open, as I relax my human self, as I see myself as beautiful and as innately good, the whole subtle energetic body begins to light up. And there's this channel of light pouring right through the center in a very powerful way, just radiating light, bringing a sense of holiness online. Holy divinity. Holy divinity. So can you just receive this holy divinity? Receive this grace. Receive this grace. Letting it move through you. And at the same time, having it stabilize and deepen. Stabilize. And deepen. And so if you like, I invite you to continue to stay with your experience. And that's the whole point of satsang, is for you to connect directly with your experience. If you want your eyes to be open, we can do that. If you want to keep them closed, we can do that. And recently I have been deeply reflecting on the importance of the subtle energy body. And often in many spiritual traditions, they take this very lazy approach. And the lazy approach would be to look at the human body and say it's just an old bag of bones. It has no value. It is not your true self. And often when we take on that type of spiritual ideology or belief, we treat ourselves with almost like a low-grade violence. It's very similar to what a lot of young women do, how they relate to their bodies. And they look at their body and just see it as this meat suit, and it's not perfect, and so they have to have lots of makeup or hairdo, or they have to work out. It doesn't look like the supermodel on the cover of the magazine, and there's like this disregard for the body or wanting it to be different. And it can turn into like a form of self-hatred. Of course, some men have this. I mean, all individuals could suffer from this, but what I found is that this is something that is incredibly not helpful on the path. As if you look at yourself, like your human body, which was a gift from God, by the way, and if you look at this body and see it as originally bad or fundamentally flawed or ugly or, you know, whatever it is, however people look at their body in a negative light, when we look at ourselves in this way, it has an incredibly harmful impact on our chances of spiritual awakening. It has an incredibly painful impact just on what your human experience is and what your divine experience is, by the way. Of course, then the opposite is true. The more you love yourself, the more you accept your human body. Like when you love yourself, when you love the body that you are given, your chakras naturally open. And there's this inner sense of lightheartedness, of innate goodness, of radiance, of holiness, which is foundationally necessary in order to wake up. It's very hard to wake up through the path of just self-denial. And on the path of self-denial, you can wake up. You wake up in the realm of transcendence. But because we're all here on planet Earth, I invite us to wake up here on Earth. Because we have bodies, I invite us to wake up in our bodies. There's a kindness and a compassion that begins to emanate from us when we love our own human self and wake up within the human form. It's kind of a silly thing to say something like God is love or all is love, and then to look in the mirror and scowl at oneself. You know, it's just like it's kind of like a psychologically, I'm going to use this term, you know, effed up way of viewing oneself in reality. And I'll point this out. It's just, if we look at our own human form and we are unable to smile, unable to see our own beauty, it really points to a closed heart chakra. And then when the heart is closed, of course, that's going to have a massive impact on the other 6 chakra centers. Have an impact on our health, or psychology, our ability to feel and experience compassion. And so I think, you know, most of you probably get the point of this is when we love ourselves, it's much easier to connect to our holy radiance. And so this, in a couple of weeks here, we're going to have this retreat. Many of you are going to be there. And the title of the retreat is Awakening to Your Holy Light. And at Christmas time, there's a great deal of emphasis on this fella. You know, there's a great deal of emphasis on this fella and his holy light, and often the light of Mary as well. You know, the story of Jesus, Mary in the manger, Joseph, and all that. But what Christ came to teach us, Jesus came to teach us, that all of us are this holy light. And in order to discover this, it's very practically helpful to set a bare minimum to be able to look in the mirror and smile. And when you look in the mirror and you smile at what's there, you're smiling at your soul, you're smiling at your divinity. You're smiling at this, the gift of form and the incarnation. And when you smile, the subtle energetic body opens and expands and can begin to teach you and show you the great mystery of your being. Now, I'll tell you this, that housed within the body, the human body, housed within the human body is the subtle energetic body. Housed within the subtle energetic body is literally hundreds, if not thousands, of subtle divine realms. Realms that can be actualized, realized, experienced directly. Now, unfortunately, for most of us, when we check in with our body, the first thing we feel is aches and pains. And so we check in with the body, we feel an aches and pains, and we check out real quick. Number one reason why people use, drugs and alcohol is their body just doesn't feel good. Body doesn't feel good. My mind doesn't feel good. My emotional nature doesn't feel good. I need a little something, to take the edge off, is the old saying, right? And I'm going to invite us just over the next coming weeks, if not the next lifetime, for us to have a very conscious relationship just with this thing, with this temple. To look at this temple, to feel into the temple. And just start with, how do I relate to the temple? How do I relate to this temple? How do I relate to this temple? I know many people who've have only been to a temple, like a real temple, like a literal temple, like a solid temple, like a church, synagogue, mosque, zendo, whatever, have only been there when they were forced to be there. Now, most of humanity is like this. Like, I don't want to be in my body unless I'm forced to be in this thing. Me, whenever I walk by church, temple, Dharma center, whatever, I walk right up and I pull on that door and I just see, is this thing open or is it locked? And it really upsets me. It's like one of the things that just like really upsets me is when I walk up to a temple and I go to open the door and it's locked. I'm just like, these doors should be eternally open. Eternally open. And if you're in relationship with me, like in my family, it's like we're in a city, and we're walking through the city. See, Craig's always walking up the big steps to the temple. And it's like, how long is he going to be in there if that door is open? So as I go in there and I just get lost in the grace and the light, the radiance of the temple. Now, of course, I do this same thing within my subtle energetic body. As I allow the light of this temple right here, to speak to me, to guide me, to lead me on the path. The voice of God does not actually come down from heaven. The voice of God will show up inside of you inside your temple, either in the space of your heart, the space of your mind, in your belly. Now, again, for most of us, when we feel into our nervous system, we just feel pain. Say, gosh, it's too much. I want to be enlightened. And we think of enlightenment as some realm outside of ourselves. And I'll tell you this, if enlightenment occurs in some realm outside of yourself, that's not enlightenment. That's you visiting a heaven realm. If you want to wake up, you need to honor your body, honor your temple, honor this thing that you are. Get to know this thing that you are. Explore it. The thing about a temple, like what's beautiful, like when I was in India, and I'd walk into the temple, like often the temple would have like many levels, and I'm going to use this word, layers, and like these little private hidden rooms, and and you descend like almost like deep into the earth, just going into like these different rooms and caverns and halls within the temple. And so I'm going to encourage you to explore your temple. But some people, they just come into the body and they say, oh my God, there's trauma here, there's trauma. And they exit immediately. They just like, let's get out of here. Let's put Netflix on and let's just keep watching more and more shows. Ignoring my body. Most people cannot get past their own feeling of pain, their own confusion, or their own heartache. And so, to make this very practical for you all, like one of the greatest supports in getting to know your subtle energetic body is doing what Alex is doing right now, which is laying down, allowing your spine to be fully flat on the floor, allowing the earth to hold you, allowing the earth to hold you. When the earth can hold you and you don't have to use any effort, in your muscles and you don't have to have perfect Zen posture. It takes no effort. You just lay down. You let the earth hold you. And so that would be, like one of the first pointers I would invite is, if we want to get to know the body, lay down flat. Sitting up straight is great too, but laying down flat is just the easiest, it's the most supportive. Now, don't go to sleep. That's the second pointer. If you lay down flat. And then so the third pointer here would be, bring your awareness into your pelvis. So I want you to get like as far as you can away from your head. I tell you to come down into your feet, but most people, they don't really have much consciousness in their feet. They have a hard time holding it there. It's a great place to start, also the feet, but if you don't have much conscious awareness there, it's very hard. So bring your conscious awareness into the pelvis. If you can begin to relax the pelvis, almost everyone holds tension in their pelvis. Like this funny thing where we just like grip like crazy in our pelvis. It's like such a bizarre place to grip, and doesn't really do much for us when we grip in our pelvis. And so if you just, bring like a yogic awareness there, where you're fully feeling pelvis, the sacrum, lower belly, like there's just a space between the belly button and your perineum. So inviting that whole thing to relax. And as you do so, you might notice, like we did in the beginning, just all of a sudden, like the 7 major chakras coming awake and online. It's full relaxation and letting go throughout the body and opening to these realms of spaciousness and light simultaneously. And if you allow yourself to be an explorer, like the same way I explore I'd like to say the oceans, but the mountains and the deserts. I spend a lot of time in the mountains and the deserts. You begin to see worlds of divinity waking up within you. And these worlds I'm speaking about now are worlds within you, as opposed to transcendent worlds, which are worlds outside of us. Worlds within you. And if you know how to open, if you know how to relax, and if you know how to listen, you'll find there is this supreme guidance that will come online. That will show you in a really like gross way, like where you're holding tension and where you could relax. But also in a subtle way, you'll notice this supreme guidance coming online that will teach you and open you to these incredible realms of divinity, which are you. Which are you. They're aspects of your divine nature. And so over the next couple of weeks, preparing for this retreat, I'm going to invite you to begin to explore your holy divinity, your holy radiance. Open to your subtle energetic body, to speak to it, inviting it, which is really you, to show you another way of being, new realms of existence, new realms of divinity. And if you have a specific question, like if you're a kundalini person and you find that the kundalini is stuck in certain places, if you have trauma and the trauma is stuck, or you're tripping over something, or you're struggling with forgiveness, or all these types of things, you can ask your body temple to show you how to let go, where to let go, what you're holding on to. But again, all this is just clearing the path. And by all means, like, that's a huge step forward. It's just to clear the path, to meet oneself. Because as soon as you begin to engage, like just say with releasing trauma, you're simultaneously opening to realms of compassion. And so that's a good thing. Often I meet with people, and it's kind of funny, and it's also, I'm going to say this, I'm going to just use a hippie term now because this is what's coming into my consciousness. It's kind of a bummer because like all day long, I invite people to feel what's within them. And a lot of people are like, oh, God, do I have to feel again? Because there's no end to this feeling. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And I want to, kind of just choke people a little bit, be like, no, it doesn't go on and on and on and on and on. The reason you think it goes on and on and on and on is because you're not actually feeling what's there. You're just like checking in and you're like, yep, it still hurts. Now I'm going to check out. I'm going to do a little bit of work and check in, and then I'm going to step out again. But when you feel something and you open to it and you drop through the feeling begins to release. Yes, sometimes there's another layer of it, and then another layer and another layer and another layer. But as you courageously choose to open, there's a bottom where the whole thing just falls out. The whole thing empties out. And you open into a realm. It's like a treasure realm where it's like, oh my God, there's so much light and space and peace here. Oh my God, this place where I've been holding tension for the last 30 years, I'm finding when I release that tension, oh my God, this is a realm of bliss. This is a realm of power. This is a realm of immense majesty and beauty and freedom. Oh my Lord. In the sense that I am the Lord, like I am God. I am this bliss, this light, this love, this radiance. But it takes courage. It takes courage. And it's a bizarre thing because the ego is telling us, hey, don't go there because it's going to hurt. But I'm here to tell you, like the ego, it's just BSing you. Because if we subtly avoid pain within us, we will suffer from that pain for the rest of our life. But if you courageously open to whatever that veil is, and you work through the layers and the levels of that veil, liberating it, yes, there will be an end. There'll be an end to the pain. But even better than there being an end to the pain, you'll find that there's a world of beauty that pain covered up. And so what I want us all to imagine is that through clearing the veils, which is basically like through meeting everything with love and doing your healing work, it's really similar to digging for gold, but actually finding gold. Finding that your nature is gold. Your nature is radiance. It's brilliance. It's light. It's love. It's compassion. It's these heaven realms that we don't actually have words to describe. They're just so utterly beautiful. So utterly beautiful. But the guardian at the gates, like I want to point to something behind me, like she is a guardian. Like she's a guardian. Guarding at the gate is our nerves, and our nerves are often saying, this doesn't feel good. Like this doesn't feel good. Like the guardian is our nerves. Or often our nerves are inflamed like her hair. They're on fire. But it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can tilt my camera. If you get past your nerves and you open to the realm of the Buddhas, if you get past your nerves, which are normally like, oh, this is too much. I don't like the way this feels. Let's do something different. Let's avoid. Let's space out on Instagram. If you get past that illusion, if you walk through it, you say, you know what? Like, I hear you, nerves. Like, I hear you're inflamed and you don't want to feel and it's too much. But I believe in me. I believe in this divinity that I am. And so I'm going to go find that. And so I'm going to dive through the pain, meet it with love, and continue to open. It's kind of funny to me. Just a large number of people this week said, gosh, Greg, do I really have to feel what's here? You don't have to. But if you want to open into the things that I'm speaking about, yes. But if you want to be free, yes. Because to be free means to be beyond feeling. To be beyond feeling. Okay. So I'm going to get to some questions. I see a lot of hands up. Let me just get to this. Someone emailed a question. I think there was a couple emailed questions, and I just didn't do a good job this week of getting all the email questions. Hi, Craig. I am contemplating doing a 10-day Vipassana silent retreat soon and wanted to ask you if you think there are some dangers with kundalini. I have done one 2 years ago and experienced very intense energy. It was very scary and confusing at times. The teacher didn't seem to know about this energy, but in the end, the retreat still had a lasting positive impact. Could you please talk a little bit about this? I believe this is from Johan. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think you answered the question. Like, it was scary, but the retreat had a long-lasting impact. This is the spiritual path. Like, a lot of people tell me they get scared to come on retreats with me because there's so much light, and their body has a lot of light, a lot of intensity. We might lose some sleep. I lose sleep on retreat nights. I'm going to lose sleep tonight. Just I have trouble teaching after satsang. I have trouble teaching after the Wednesday meditations, but it's not going to stop me. It's not going to stop me. I feel driven by this grace. I'll tell you this, it's unfortunate when you go on a retreat with a teacher who doesn't know how to meet you. That's unfortunate, but it doesn't mean we don't go. It doesn't mean we don't go. I encourage you to listen to your heart. If your heart says, let's do it, let's do it. Your heart is not based on, how does something feel? Does it feel scary or not? Your heart is based in the truth. If your heart says, I want to do this, we do it. If your nerves, your humanity says, I'm scared, like that's nothing, like that's not something I listen to. I don't listen to fear. If we're on the spiritual path, fear is not our teacher. Fear is not our motivating force. The truth is, love is, radiance is, peace is. Those are the motivating forces. If you want to be free, if you want to know love, if you want to open to higher realms of divinity, you're going to have to face fear. Now, Vipassana is not dangerous to kundalini. What Vipassana does is it helps you to open, and when you open, kundalini flows. Now, again, it's helpful to have a teacher to help you work with the kundalini, but the big picture, like even if you never had a teacher, if you just open and open and open, eventually the kundalini will integrate. And it'll help you to integrate. And so I'll tell you this, you'll probably have lots of energy, you'll probably have kriyas, and you might be bouncing around on your meditation cushion. You might get some scowls, from other people who are sitting perfect zazen. But again, it's like those people are living in illusions or delusions, a delusion. They're living in some false spirituality that says you have to be rigid and control your mind in order to be awake and to be a good meditator. I encourage you to open, 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 open. And trust in the grace of kundalini. Trust in the grace of what's happening within you. Even if you bounce around a little bit. Anyways, Johan, you're also welcome to come to our retreat. We'd love to have you. You're also welcome to do both. To do both. The big news, the big thing here with kundalini is it's just energy. It wants to flow. I shouldn't say it's just energy. From one perspective, it's just energy. From another perspective, it's the grace of God channeling its way through you. And a 10-day meditation retreat is a wonderful opportunity to give yourself to God, to give yourself to kundalini, and to see what happens. And as always, it's helpful to have a teacher that you meet with. There have been a lot of people who have joined this Sangha because they did a 10-day meditation retreat. Vipassana retreat, the teacher didn't know how to deal with them or work with them, or it wasn't a teacher who gave feedback or that type of thing or guidance. They just hosted the event and played the Goenka tapes and let everyone, go off on their own and into their land of confusion. And then, people stumbled into this Sangha. So, anyways, yeah, like I would go. That's me personally. Okay. All right, let's see here. Who haven't I heard from? Megan. I can't remember if we've spoken anytime soon. I feel like maybe we did, but I'm going to call on you anyways. Megan, are you here?
Hi, Craig.
Hi, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. I wanted to ask you specifically about this sensation that I've been having during your meditations. It's kind of like something creeping up my spine, but it's like beyond nauseating. That
Mhm.
kind of sensation where I really don't know how to describe it. It's not really like an emotion, but
Yeah,
I was wondering just what that is and if
yeah,
it has anything to do with like maybe the root chakra or anything like
yeah.
that.
If you feel something like creeping up your hand, like creepy crawling up your hand,
But of my spine.
excuse me, up your spine, that is
Yeah.
the I'm being dyslexic here. That is the I'm sorry. It's the hand of Lucifer. He's coming.
All right, gotcha.
Sorry.
That explains everything.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's your kundalini waking up. Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I
If
should
you
be
go on some
prepared for
Christian
that.
websites, they'll tell you it's the hand of Lucifer. This is Satan coming to get you or something. I couldn't help myself. Sometimes I just can't help. But yeah, it's your kundalini
It
waking up.
doesn't feel like energy though.
Well,
It
I mean,
like
well,
I mean I know I've had like energetic explosions in my spine
uh-huh.
where it's like a big
Well,
but
so people get really strange about the word energy. So like everything, like literally everything on planet Earth, everything in the universe is energy. Everything is made of energy. And so when you say it doesn't feel like energy, um, well, I'll just tell you what, of course it is energy, but why don't you tell me what you mean by it? Because I don't want us to trip over semantics. So it feels like I'm just going to repeat one of the things you said. You said it's more than nauseating.
yeah, it's like beyond nauseating.
Beyond nauseating. That's what you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you this. So nausea is like the human reaction when light is very bright and light is very purifying.
Mm.
Okay. And so like when our human body is being intensely purified, it feels really nauseating. And this is where I want to be careful because people, like, if we just ask our ego, if you ask your ego, like, what do you think of nausea? And the ego's like, well, that means there's something bad there. There's something poisonous is there. And, but if we ask, like, say, like our direct experience, we see that nausea is often old, like karma, like old, and again, this will sound harsh, but I'm just going to say it just because we've been talking about poison, like poison being cooked out of our nervous system. So things that are dense, things that are heavy, things that we've held on to for too long, like things that need to be forgiven, things that need to be released, things that need to be let go of, in a sense, like these are poisons. And there's light that's coming into you and it's cooking these things out of you, these toxins, these poisons, this karma. And I don't want any of that to sound judgmental in any way. Like we all just have stuff within us. And sometimes it's personal stuff, sometimes it's stuff that belongs to the collective. And it's being cooked out of us. And while it can be quite uncomfortable, I encourage you to continue to open to it. And so tell me again, what you feel, and let's see if we missed anything here.
It's um it doesn't feel like an emotion. It feels more like a sensation
Mm-hmm.
creeping up my spine and um it's pretty terrifying. It's
Oh,
new.
good, good. So see, now you're bringing up something beautiful, pretty terrifying. And so I hope you had fun with my Lucifer comment there before. Um, so there's this teaching, and this is a teaching that's often heard in, like, say, Tibetan Tantra, um, I actually wrote it down. It goes something like, there's some great master a long time ago that says something like this. If you can give up the temptation to control your experience, there's primordial energies that will begin to flow throughout your nervous system. And I thought that was great. And whoever the great saint or sage was who said this, I'm going to beg for forgiveness. I can't remember your name right now, but we have this egoic tendency to kind of micromanage everything within us, all of our feelings, all the movements, all the sensations. And like the way Freud put it is like we have a super ego and it just represses everything. It keeps everything just like pushed down within us. And then we just exist like as a head with no feeling, operating in the world. And we're just trying to be like this rational mind. That's kind of Freud's interpretation. The Tibetans, many years ago, or any just great tradition who spent a lot of time in silence and in meditation, notice this thing where we're always trying to micromanage our experience, control our experience. And like there's just the way this sage said it was, if you can resist the temptation to control and just explore what this, we don't have to call it an energy, we'll call it a sensation, to use your words, that's moving up your spine. If you can open to it, explore it, and just begin to see. And I'm going to say, explore it despite the terror. And again, like that sounds crazy from a human egoic perspective. But if you say we're exploring this like energy together, and then you just like open your eyes, like you look around, you're like, there's no one coming to get me. There's no danger here. Like the worst thing that will happen, which will actually be a great thing, is you'll probably have a big rush of energy that'll move up your spine and, open you into some kind of, ecstatic heaven realm. And you might be a little confused. Like what?
That's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. And so again, like there's no, you can always take your hand and be like, is there anything on my spine? Like, is it a bug? Is the thing creeping? I mean, people write all kinds of silly things on the internet. Like they feel these ants crawling. I don't even want to say it, but people just say these silly things. They write all these silly things, like I feel ants crawling all over my face or the crown of my head or my pelvis or my pelvic floor. Like I get these really bizarre questions sometimes with people, and I'm just like, oh my God, you could use a teacher. You could use some support, but like we can get really freaked out if we're just like left alone with these things. But if you have a little guidance, like I'm saying this with a smile, like open, trust, feel what's here. And the terror is simply like your super ego, just like, oh, I don't know what this is. But there's no reason to be, to go into terror. Like you said, it's just a sensation. It's just a sensation. It's just a feeling. Now, I'll tell you, it's more than just a feeling, but just like on a gross level, as opposed to the subtle thing, gross level, it's just a sensation of something moving up the spine with some heat, some burning nausea. And I'm going to encourage you to be a goddess and just to see, like, what is this? Like, what is this thing that's happening within me? What is actually here? Now, I've already told you, just from my own experience, that nausea is a sign of purification. It's a sign like a light is very bright and it's cutting through something that's dense that creates a feeling of nausea. Nausea often occurs between the pelvis and the solar plexus. To get up to the heart, there's normally not nausea there. There's different types of feelings, but that's a good sign. The fact that there's fear here shows that your superego is kind of like on unstable ground. It's not sure, it doesn't feel like it's in control. That's a good thing too. That's a good thing too. Because on the spiritual path, we're letting go of the superego. We're letting go of that. And we're just seeing, like, can I live without a judge, a critic, a micromanager, something that's repressing all the time within me? And can I just open and feel and see what's here? And again, like there's a great chance, like I'd say like 90%, like this is your kundalini waking up. And people get ideas in their head, like what it means for kundalini to wake up or what exactly it feels like. It can feel 100 different ways. But if energy's moving up the spine, that's kundalini. That's kundalini. It's moving down your spine. That can also be kundalini, but it can also be grace. It could be grace moving up, like grace coming up from the earth, but normally grace coming up from the earth feels warm and gentle and supportive. Doesn't come with like that nauseating, burning feeling. Anything else you want to share about it?
No, I think that was good. That answered my question, at least, on the mind level. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that'd be helpful.
yeah. And the other thing too is just like on a real human level, you can talk to it and like say, come, like if this thing comes like all of a sudden, you say hello, like how can I help you? Like what's going on here? Do you have anything you want to tell me or communicate to me or show me or speak to me with an image? Like the energy, it has intelligence. We want to know that, remember that. And that it can speak to you. It might not speak to you in words, but it could speak to you in pictures or images. It could speak to you in words, but often, and if it puts pressure on a certain area, like whenever like an energy is waking up in us and then it puts pressure or heats up an area, the general teaching I encourage is to open in that area and to relax, to soften, to include, to trust, to feel, to explore, to be curious about it. So to have an opposite conscious response than the response of fear. You know what I mean? So just be like, like I want to see what this is. Like sometimes I'll be laying in bed and there'll be, like this heat light up in me and nausea, burning. I'm always like, I wonder what this is. And that, like even like tonight, just like normally a couple hours before satsang, I start to feel really sick or really like nauseous, or just be like, oh my God, like what the hell's going on in me? And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's Sunday. Like I'm teaching it a little bit. And there's just lights that come in and start to like burn up like karma from my day or confusion from my day, or just like I had a really busy weekend, and like the light will come on and just kind of clear me out. And then like, a moment before I start teaching, it's just like whoosh, this wind blows through me and I just feel, incredible. But the 2 hours before, it feels like, some nights, not always, but sometimes it feels like I'm like coming down with the flu and I'm just like, oh geez. But it's, God coming into me and just like, in a sense, like upgrading this nervous system, this consciousness, so that something greater can move through. And so anyways, thanks for sharing yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. Okay, it's the middle of the night for Chrissy. Let's hear from Chrissy.
Hey, Craig.
Hey, Chrissy, good to see you.
You too. My question is, you said recently that you blast through fear by failing at life. Can you talk more a bit about that, please?
Yeah. what did I say? You blast through.
Blast through fear by failing at life.
You blast through fear by failing at life. Yeah. So fear has a grip over us in imagined reality. Like fear can only really exist in imagination. Unless there's some real active, fearful thing in your life in this moment. Like you see, again, I always bring up like a mountain lion. You see mountain lion, you should have fear. You should get the heck out of there. That's a good thing. But as soon as you get out of there, it's like the fear disappears and it just turns into excitement. But with psychological fear, it's all just happening in imagination. It's just like we imagine. We're either imagining the past repeating itself in the future, or, you know, we're just imagining some danger, some terrible outcome that we can't handle. Again, it's just, it exists in the future. But if you face whatever it is in your life, and if you succeed, you're like, oh, well, like, I didn't need to be afraid of that. I succeeded. But it's almost better when you fail at life. Because when you fail, like the fear is just brought, like it is fully tested. Like you see the outcome and it's like, oh my God, like I failed. I didn't get the business deal. Like I'm going to tell everyone this. I tried to buy a house. They say on Friday. And so I got it, you know, I submitted a contract, you know, tried to put all this money down on it and all this thing. And the contract failed. And, you know, it's just like, now I get to see, like I'm experiencing right now, here's what it's like right now in this moment to fail at getting this house. And I'm like, I'm totally okay. I'm totally okay. Like when you fail, like when you don't get the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the partner, the promotion, when you don't get the new car, when Christmas doesn't come, when you get kicked out of your house, but something else shows up, like through failure, you realize that you outlive the imagined fear or the real life fear. Like it, you see, like the bubble pops and that fear doesn't have power over you any longer. But it's through failing at life and living through failure that we discover strength. That's a much more eloquent way to say it. When you fail at life and you outlive the thing you feared, in the place where there was once fear, there's strength, there's power, there's freedom. And that thing no longer dominates you because you outlived it. Because you outlived it. And there's this wonderful, like, crystallizing quality of reality. Like of you being in reality. When fears come up, you face them. And let's say you fail, the whatever the imagined fear is, it comes true, but then you realize it didn't kill me, it didn't destroy me, it didn't harm me. My innocence is still just as beautiful as it's ever been. It didn't tarnish my strength or my character. It actually made me stronger. And because I'm stronger, I'm more rooted in the depth of what I am. But if we never face fear, if we never fail in life, and the thing about failure is we always outlive all of our failures. Even our own death. Like death is the failure to live forever. When we face that and we die, and we wake up in heaven, we're like, oh wait, I don't need to be afraid of death. I don't need to be afraid of life. I don't need to be afraid of anything. There's great freedom in that. There's great power in that. We certainly don't need to chase failure, but it's just one of the things that, like I was reflecting on this the other day. I was at jiu-jitsu, and there's two young guys that came in, and young guys, they don't want to lose. They don't like to lose. Like, they go in there and they fight like they're fighting for their life. But someone old like me, it's like, I've lost so many times. It's like, I don't even care. It's like, it's not a big deal. It doesn't mean anything to my ego. It doesn't hurt my sense of self if I lose. And there's a freedom, like this great freedom and wisdom that can live through me because I failed so many times at life. But when you're young and you haven't failed, you continue to live under this illusion of fear of like, what if I do fail? Oh my God, I don't have what it takes. We all have what it takes to outlive whatever it is that's in front of us. But we don't know that until we fail. And if we're not connected to this strength, this power, this light, we'll never be free. Like, most people look at enlightenment as, I'm going to get to a place where I no longer suffer and I no longer feel pain ever again. And it will be great. It'll be the ultimate escape from life. And that is completely not what enlightenment is. Enlightenment is when you are awake enough to suffer fully and completely and not be bothered by it and not turn away from it. And people don't like that. Like, people don't like that idea. They're like, oh no. Like, I suffer now more than I've ever suffered. Like, the more awake you are, the more you feel, the more you experience. People think enlightenment means you get to a place where you don't feel pain. It's like, no, it's called being on morphine. And so living in some cyber world where you don't feel pain, I don't know, but that's like the ultimate egoic fantasy, is getting to a place where you don't feel pain. It's just like the ultimate movement of the fight or flight response. I get to a place of complete and utter safety and never feel pain again. The more awake you are, the more you feel, the more you experience. Not only do you feel your pain, you feel everyone's pain. But because there is space here, there's freedom here, there's strength here, there's power here, there's this sense of total okayness about it. Then take it a step further. There's a sense that you are life, experience it in itself, in all its beauty and divinity and glory and all its hell, everything in between. And you are the one who experiences all of it without turning away. Without turning away. And so in order to be free, we have to be fully open and accepting and inclusive of failure. The ego, if you notice it, it tries to do the opposite. It tries to run as far as it can from failure. And when we do that, we divide ourselves from reality, because this world, it's full of failure. It's full of failure. And so anyways, I hope, was that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Okay. It's getting pretty late here, but I'll do maybe another question or two. Let's hear from Martin. I just asked.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, Martin. I just asked that the question is short, clear, and direct, please. Just because it's late.
Yeah. Well, I'll do my best, because I just wanted to. I want to talk about like the awakening I talked about with you last week, Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I just want to like help myself through the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
we can do that.
Yeah. So for a few days, it was like I was kind of like walking as this like void, and it was like beautifully empty.
Mm-hmm.
There was just this complete clarity. There was no sense of past, and it was like I was meeting people like for the first time ever. It was just like everything was completely fresh. Just today, and that actually fit in perfectly into the teaching that you started with. There was just this, because there was just this. It was like subtly detached from the body. Like there was this sense like, I am not the body. Body is something else that I am. I love the body, but it's not what I am. And just today, there was just like I completely merged into the body, like back into it. So that's what happened today. It feels really great, I think, because it's like it feels very real. It feels really like grounding.
Say that again. It feels, I heard
It feels
grounding.
real and grounding.
Good.
Yeah. And so that's what went down. And it's also like it's triggering all sorts of emotions and trauma and whatever. So it's the uncomfortable aspect of it.
Yeah, beautiful. So you're just sharing with me your experience. Was there a question in there?
I probably not. It's just trying to like digest whatever's happening.
Yes. So I can say this, that and this started from the Wednesday night meditation. Yeah.
No, it started on last Sunday.
Oh, it started last Sunday. Okay. Yeah. And so it can happen. And did it start, say, last Sunday here at Satsang, or did it just start?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so there's this tendency sometimes that when we come together spiritually, we all, or not we all, but some of us, many of us, start to kind of ascend out of our bodies and expand and get really spacious. And that's just one of the things that happens in the realm of spiritual awakening, is we just start floating out of our bodies and expanding. And again, that can be good, that can be thrilling, that can feel like great freedom. And it can be incredibly healing, just showing us, okay, there's another way to live, where we're not just like the denseness of our humanity.
Yeah.
And so most spirituality is that you just like kind of float out of your body and you get into kind of some heavenly realm. But for most of us, we realize, but then it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick. And so if we want, to wake up, and we want it to stick, if we want it to be, what one of my teachers called an abiding awakening, that has to happen in our body, where we kind of claim the ground, where we honor that this is, and this will sound egotistical, but I don't want it to come off that way. I think this is my body, my realm, my truth. This is who and what I am. And so when you claim it, so that's a little bit different than riding the waves of grace. If you ride the waves of grace, you can just kind of get out and float. This happens a lot. Like if we go to church and we sing like the Christian hymns, and we just start feeling holy and heavenly, and everyone just starts floating out. But then 20 minutes after church, people just feel just disconnected from that truth and kind of back in their old bag of bones, and nothing really changes. And so what I'm inviting is for us to wake up, to realize ourselves as this temple.
Yeah.
In a foundational way, in a lived way, in an owned way, where you are consciously, intentionally choosing to live here with your feet on planet Earth. But we're realizing our feet are not just these flesh things that are smacking the ground, these monkey feet, but our feet are actually holy feet. Our hips are holy hips. Our heart is a holy heart. Our mind is a holy mind.
Yeah.
And as we begin to open and realize, this is what I am. This is what I am. And we always have this choice to be this light in this form, not out of body, in body. It is me, it is my presence, it is my essence. I am this. And we can actually live in a way that is embodied and awake and enlightened and free, and have an impact on this world. If we just float out all the time, again, things don't stick, and we just kind of become like someone's just like floating, And then, I hate to say it, but I will say this. Often spiritual people who float all the time, a lot of times they end up getting some kind of chronic illness of some sort, or they break their leg, or their wife or their family leaves them. They lose all their money from their bank account or whatever. They get fired from their job. And the reason these things happen is not punishment, but it's because like God is trying to tell you, hey, I need you to get back in your body. I need you to focus on what's here. Like I'm wanting you to be a human for this incarnation. So I wanted you to kind of figure out this dance of holy embodiment. And so I got to give you an illness or something to get you kind of back in your body. In fact, like even with me, with my my illness over the last couple of years here, it's really helped me to come more fully into my body, to focus on my body, to respond with a greater form of love, to work with, like different aspects of my karma, and then some karma within the Sangha. And so it's been a very interesting experience for me, where God's just saying, hey, I'm going to give you some pain and some limitations, and that's going to help you to refocus and be more fully here,
right,
in a way that you haven't fully been before. And so it's a wonderful thing, even though that sometimes it can be difficult. And this is the thing with like spiritual people always have the bias. Like if I have a choice between being in my body and being in heaven, I'm going to choose heaven. Like I'm going to choose heaven because heaven feels so exquisite, and there's no real work to do in heaven. It's just kind of float. And there is a little there's kind of a rule of living on the spiritual path that most of us, we don't get this memo, but God's like, look, I gave you a body because I want you to be in your body. There's a lot of people teach the body's a mistake, the earth is a mistake, your ego is a mistake, life is a mistake. It's like our whole point of spirituality is to get out of this world. It's like God doesn't make a giant mistake like that. God's not going to give us an ego and that's a mistake. No, it's like the ego is a stepping stone and helps us to embody, helps us open to being an individual expression of divinity. So it's a stepping stone. For people, most people don't realize this. We just take the easy path. We say, I'm going to float in heaven, see if I can get that to stick. And maybe after 10,000 lifetimes, it will stick. But, normally it just doesn't. So anyways, Martin, so good to be with you.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank you.
for sharing yourself today. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, let me see here. A couple comments here. One thing I'm just going to return just back to this teaching around the body. I'm going to return just to something very practical. So over the next, let's just say over the next week, just to give it a little bit of a time frame, I'm going to invite everyone, when you get out of the bath, out of the shower, to go stand and just to look at your human form and all your naked humanity. And I want you just to notice, do you smile? Do you see the beauty and the radiance of your skin? You can also do this, like if you just look, like you can look in your computer screen at your own self, or if you look in the mirror at your own self, just look directly into your eyes, just like into your eyes. Do eye gazing with yourself. This one tends to be easier than looking at the whole body. Do you see the divinity that you are? Do you see just like this quiet, mysterious radiance flowing out your eyes? Maybe we start with that. If you can just see, just like looking directly into your pupils, right to your iris, just see do you see just this quiet radiance and light and beauty? And if you get a yes there, then you step back and you look at the entirety of your naked body. See if you can see that same beauty here. And so that's like one inquiry, one thing to play with. And the second one is to play, which is like a laying down meditation, where you're feeling into your hips, into your pelvis, and just noticing, am I holding tension here? And deeply and fully relaxing. Deeply and fully relaxing. And as you do so, begin to pay attention to your spine, to your 7 chakra centers, to the direct experience of your subtle energetic body. And then from this place, I want you to notice, just like Megan was noticing, are there any movements, any sensations which are speaking to you? Is there any points of pressure where the energy is wanting to open in one particular chakra center? Is there any particular, of course, we look at other feelings, tensions, things that need to be released, healed, forgiven, whatever. Of course, we allow that. We speak about that every week. We do that type of work. But then even more subtly, like, do you notice energies that are wanting to flow, that are stuck, that are trapped, that feel imprisoned? And can you take the time to sit with those energies, whether it takes 1 minute or 100 minutes, sitting there and opening and seeing what this energy, what this sensation is trying to show you. See if there's a new realm of divinity that wakes up within you. Okay, so we'll all play with that. And hopefully I'll see you all Wednesday night, and please sign up for the retreat if you haven't already. And forgive me if I didn't get to your question. So I'll see you all soon. So much love to you. Happy holidays to you all. Good night, everyone. Goodbye.